I'm Jeanne Fiorini. Thanks for joining us for the Tarot Works Tarot Tip series. This is going to be the first in a series of installments where we're going to talk about and discuss in depth the Celtic cross layout. It's probably the most revered spread. It's the most traditional spread that we have. I'm going to leave the definition about how the diagram of the spread itself is developed. You can find a very nice encapsulation of that in Mary Greer's book Tarot for Yourself if you're interested in the history of the spread. I always find it very interesting to use this very traditional layout in what we maybe would call modern time, because there's so many different tarot decks now and so many different ways of reading cards, and yet we still love and respect and have a lot of valuable information that can come from this Celtic layout. So I always like that juxtaposition of the old with the new. As some of you know, I recently had published a Spreads and Layouts book available on Amazon.com and at your local bookstore. Shameless self-promotion there. But I did not include the Celtic layout in that book, and there's a real specific reason why. The Spreads and Layouts book is geared towards simple layouts that are specifically designed, many of them, for specific kinds of questions. And the Celtic layout is neither simple nor is it well suited for a specific question. It's a very excellent layout when you want the big picture, when you want to see what sorts of themes are if it's an anniversary of an event in your life. That's always a good time to use this layout. On your birthday is a good time to use the Celtic layout. First of the year, sometimes people like to throw a spread on New Year's and kind of see what's ahead. You might want to do it this particular layout once in January and maybe once again in July, see how things are unfolding. It's not a layout that you should be doing, I shouldn't say should, it's not a layout that's effective to do once a week. So for that reason, I didn't include the Celtic layout in my new book. It's not simple. It's not easy to weave all those different pieces together. The Celtic layout has 10 cards. Some people move even into 11 or 12 cards with the Celtic layout. The layouts in my Spreads and Layouts book only have up to 8 cards and really are geared for simple and effective ways to use your cards, not so much the big picture piece. So before we even begin to think about laying the cards into the pattern of the spread, I like to make sure, because there are going to be so many variables in this layout, there are 10 pieces that have to fit together in a meaningful way. I like to make sure that I've got as many ducks lined up as possible to make sure I'm getting the clearest, cleanest information I can get. So I always like to sort my deck and put the cards in order before I throw a Celtic layout. So for me, that means putting the major arcana in order from the Fool through the World card, and then I put the suits in order from Ace to King, starting with Wands and then Cups and then Swords and then Pentacles. To me, this is like erasing the blackboard from whatever happened in the previous reading and starting with a very clean slate. I like to put my cards in order, and if possible, put them in the window, let the sun shine on them, put a few crystals on them, and really let them sort of rest before they're going to do the hard work of the Celtic layout. The next question that you have to address when you're using this particular layout is, how am I going to get my cards into the template of the layout? All a layout or a tarot spread is a defined set of intentions, which is very useful. When you use any layout, you're defining the intended meaning for each of the positions. By placing this card in this position, I want to look at what's in the past. By placing this card in this other position, I want to look at what's ahead. You've defined significance for each of those positions when you use a layout. Now, the Celtic layout has 10 different pieces that sound and look like that. So, to get your cards in the template, in the layout, in a way that's going to be effective is a place where you have options. Some people like to shuffle them. Some people like to visualize the template in their mind and draw out cards from a random pile. Now you can either do that in order, say this is card 1, this is card 2, this is card 3, or you might have a random pile of cards and go, oh, I think all the cards are face down, of course. Oh, this card is card 9. This card is card 2, and place them in the layout in a more intuitive way. Whether you decide to shuffle and then deal out your cards, whether you pull them from a random pile, whatever you decide is totally up to you. There isn't a right way to get them in the layout. What's important is that you are comfortable with the way that you went about that. That's part of setting your intention for clear and as precise meanings as you can achieve. So we haven't even laid out any cards yet, and we've already run into, okay, how do I prepare myself to do this reading? The first thing is be aware that it's not the best layout for a specific question. It's an excellent layout for the general overview, the big picture themes, what are the dynamics that are at work in my life right now. You can always ask your specific questions in a second part of your reading if you decided you wanted to do that. The second issue is, how do I line my cards up so that they are ready to be placed into the spread? And then the third issue is, how am I going to get them into the layout? Am I going to deal them in order? Am I going to divide into piles and then take cards from each pile and insert them into the layout? What is important here is that you find a way that works for you, that you're comfortable with. The next session we will begin the layout, actually showing some of the positions, and do a live reading. So those are some things to think about with the Celtic layout, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.